And welcome back. It's George Philbeck and my ever so talented wife, Jacquie Sosa. I'm the numbers guy, so I get to do this one. This is the monthly report for July 2023, the greater Orlando area, Central Florida. Now, these are real numbers that came off the press literally the day ago, yesterday, the beginning of the month. And I combined everything. I do this on a regular basis. We're going to look at some graphs. We're going to find out what's going on with the market, where it's going, how is it changing. I've got some new information for you as well, some new information that will be relevant to you if you're a homeowner or even a home buyer. So let's get started. Let's take a look at the graphs. The first one we're going to look at is the number of sold homes. How many homes have sold in the month of June? We get our reports, as I said, the very first day you're watching the most or current information. Let's take a look at the graph real quick. Okay, so what we're looking at is the number of homes sold. Now, this went from February of 2020 all the way through to June of 23. I like to run a little bit further than a 3-year running or 2-year full cycle. I go into the third year because I want to see some comparisons, some buildups. So the first thing that jumps out, if we go to June 2023, the last graph, there were 1,618 homes sold in the month of June. Now, we're going to go back and take a look at what happens in other Junes, like June of 2022. You'll see that there's 2,522 homes. In June of 2021, we had over 3,000 homes sold. So we are definitely going down. And all the time, let's just get it out of the way. Of course, the interest rate has something to do with it. Don't fear, that will come down. I promise you. Interest rates are going to be lower in the next 6 months to 12 months. By May of, or really March of next year, I expect that they'll be in a lot better position, probably 5%, maybe 5.25%, maybe even 4.75. So don't freak out over that, but that's affecting our market. So let's go back and take a look at the next graph. This graph is the average sale price. And again, let's start at the right-hand side. You're going to see those sale prices have gone up. And that on the surface is really great that we're doing it, but it's still going up a little too high. And here's the reason. There's very few homes on the market. And because we have very few homes on the market, we have greater demand. And it's a false demand. Think about this. A lot of us, myself included, heck, I'd love to sell my home. I've got my forever home where I want to be the rest of my life. But I'm not willing to trade a 3.25 interest rate for what is going to be a 6 or 7% interest rate. Now, my wife and I, Jacquie and I, we're looking, and here's why. Because we know we can refinance very soon. And there is a very good, aggressive market out there for homes that are on the market. But a lot of people aren't willing to take that chance. They're not willing to say, well, I'm going to hold off and I'll finance my home now. Don't pay the points. Please don't pay the points. A lot of times when the mortgages are out there, they're going to charge you 2 or 3% in points. Now, 2 or 3% or 2 or 3 points, 2 or 3%, $500,000 loan, that adds up. That can be anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 in extra fees. Deal with the mortgage, pay the mortgage for the next 6 months, even a year. You're looking at an increase of around $3,200, and then refi at 5%. You're going to put anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 back in your pocket, money you don't need to spend. Because the truth is, even if you buy the rates down to 6.25, you're still, or even 6 or even 5.75, you're still going to refi when they get a little bit lower, and they will. So let's go back to this. Take a look. So back to the last graph, which is June of 2023, 475,000, pretty close, $474,709. That's our average sale price. Now that continues to tick up. However, when we get to affordability, that's gonna be an issue. You're gonna see what I mean in just a little bit. It's tied to the interest rates, and that's a concern. But let's go back year over year. We're at $455,596 in June of 2022. In 2021, we were at 383,000 and change. So there's been a dramatic increase. And you'll notice that it does always flatten out. Now I'm going to start with February on the very left-hand side, February of 2021. And we're at, it's kind of like that's at the low point. If we went to February of 2022, you see it didn't really start jumping up till March, April, May, and June. And then January and February of 2023, the last January and February, you're going to see the March, April, May, and June tick up. This is the summer season. This is what happens in every summer. Because we have less homes on the market, there are less buyers for sure. We're going to talk about that in the number of homes sold. So there's greater demand. That's where our prices are going up. I think this is a little inflated. If you're thinking of selling, do it now. Seriously, just get it out of there, get it off the market. And as I said, adjust the rates. Let's continue, go back, take a look at this. I see this going up and I see it plateauing very, very quickly, like the next month, kind of flattening out. And as you'll notice on this, when you get to July and then August, in almost every, well, in the last 2 years, you've seen it drop off a little bit. More substantially in the July of 2022, you'll notice that it dropped off to 450, 897, down to 440, and then to 431. That's normal. That drop from July, August, September, and October drops down a little bit on a regular basis. You see that again and again. Next graph we're going to take a look at is the days on market. Now, the days on market indicate to us how long it takes from the day a property is actually placed on the market and till it gets an accepted contract. Now, this is an average, but it's still very, very important to take a look at this because it's going to give you an indication of what's happening in the market. So as you would expect, and we'll start with 2021, the days on the market start dropping from February all the way down to a low of August. This is important. The dip in August represents the contracts that we received in July. When you get to September, they reflect the August contracts. When you get to October, they reflect the September contracts. So you'll see how this looks on the graph. When we're looking at the first dip into August, you'll notice that September, which represents the August closings, it goes up to 27 days on the market. And then the September closings, where everybody's back in, they're looking a little bit. It goes up a little, it goes down a little bit. We've got a tick, which is kind of unusual, quite honestly, in that one. And then it goes up a little bit in November, December, and January, and even February, representing the January purchases. So looking forward into 2022, you'll notice on that August, it starts rising and it keeps going up. Well, we also had interest rates. So let's jump to those. Starting in June and July of 2022, the interest rates went up. So let's take a look at the interest rate chart. And look at that. The interest rates start going up really in March, April, May, and June of 2022. And currently, that's what caused, by the way, that days on market increase. The more the interest rates, the less the buyers, the less people are looking. And the higher the days on market, the longer it takes for a property to go under contract. Now, what I want to point out real quickly, and again, these graphs are available if you want them, is look at March, really February, April, May, and June. 6.99 in February, 6.84 March, 6.97 in April, May, 7.38, and June, 7.33. Now, to make this fair, I tabulate these at the end of each month. It's impossible to give that rolling average and have it be effective because there's some variation. So I use one source. It's a nationwide source. It doesn't represent the actual rate across the board, but it gives an idea of what's happening. Is it going up? Is it going down? And we get some form of consistency. Let's take a look at affordability because this is the one that's most important. So what we're looking at is the affordability index. Now, here's the part that's really relevant. If you're buying a home, about 40 to 50% at the absolute top can be committed towards your mortgage, principal and interest, as well as any outstanding debts, car loans, student loans, things like that. Any debt that's over a year long will be considered. 50% of your spendable income can be included in there. And you're looking at this. And now if you're looking where I'm looking, which is on the right-hand side from February until June, we're seeing 49%, 50, 51, 53, and 54.99%. That is an overly inflated affordability rate. For full transparency, I used a home with $100,000 income and I used just against the mortgage. I didn't include student loans, car loans, anything else. Just with the mortgage, look at this. These months of February through June have everybody at over 50%. It's almost impossible to get a loan at that price. Now, are there people that make more than $500,000 or $100,000 a year? Absolutely. This is a generalization, but it shows really what dramatically has happened to our affordability. And that is the big issue we're facing right now. We've got these elevated interest rates, which are taking a lot of buyers out of the equation. We have sellers who don't want to sell because why would you trade a 3.5 or 2.5% interest rate or 2.75 interest rate to what is probably going to be a 7 or 7.25 and don't pay the points. And then obviously points would get it down a little bit, but you're going to refinance anyway. This is a very volatile time of the year. It will get better. I promise you it will. If you're thinking of selling, consider doing that right now. I'd love to give you a consultation, talk about your home values, which leads me to another graph I want to show you. So take a look at this. So this is a graph that was done by Redfin, and I really like it because it's true data that shows what's happening in the Orlando metro area in our pending sales. So these are the number of sales that we've had, and you'll notice that as this is 2023, our sales are down. That's the blue line. Our sales are lower, but more important than that, if you look at the bottom portion of the graph, that shows year over year. And they spiked up in 2021. That's the orange graph. And then we started breaking about even, then starting to drop off. Just as those interest rates went up, you'll see that our pending sales went down as well. Well, they were down to 40%, which is the indication, the blue line starting at just about minus 40 on the bottom left of the graph. And it's still down about 20%. And that's not healthy. So as I said, here's the summary. If you're going to sell now. Get it done with. In September and October, November, I think we're going to be in for a little bit of a challenge. If you have the opportunity to place a property under contract, please, by all means, do so. And if you're buying a property, do not, under any circumstances, do not buy into this buying down of the rates, because you will be able to refinance. Now, consider, I did the math on this, and if you're doing a $500,000 loan, I'm just being very generic at this point, it'll cost you around $3,600 to have the interest rate be 2% higher than your ability to refinance. So that means if you're buying a property at, let's say, 7 or 7.25, let's say 7%. Now that's before they buy down your rate. And then they're going to say, well, give us 2 points, $10,000, and we'll buy your rate down to 6. That's going to cost you about $3,200 to $3,600 over the course of the next 12 months. You're going to spend $10,000 to save $3,600. However, the interest rate should be down at around 5%. And even if they're at 5.5%, you're still saving a ton more money by not refinancing, by just saying, I'm going to absorb the $3,600 and then I'm going to refinance it down. And then I'll have a long-term rate that I can keep that's lower than what I would have bought it down with. Now, if you want a custom report done on your home, on your area, I'm going to put a video at the end of this one. We'll start it in just a couple seconds. It's a report I do for my family, my friends. I can do it for you as well. If you wanted a little more detail, we're glad to do that too. It's fairly generic, but it gives you an idea. There's a link down below to get yours. Let's roll that. I'll tag it on here so you can see it. And if you'd like Jacquie and I to work on that for your home, we'd be glad to do so. And it's our pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. And by the way, please like and subscribe to the video if you like this kind of content. My goal is to make sure you have the most current data literally right as it came out. As I'm filming this, it's July 1st. That's how quickly we turn this around. And we can do the same for yours. Take a look at what we're glad to do for you. And thanks again from both myself and Jacquie. Have a great day. Here's a quick clip on that report. So the reports that we create for our friends and our family include, obviously, the information about the home, as well as the current estimated value, as you're seeing on these 2 pages. Now, we also go a lot deeper into home facts and the extended home facts as well. And this allows us to really refine our value. And you'll actually see that the last page we're going to talk about is the refined home value, which includes some adjustments that would be made as well. Now, this is a 81-page report that will be sent to you that is very specific to your home, your community, and everything else. It is important that you have all the facts when making such an important decision.